Happy Monday, everyone. We got a cool little work set for you guys. We're going to kickstart off some strength work for you all today, and we're going to have some fun. This is going to be a good way to kickstart off the week and shake out the weekend so we can start the week the right way. We're going to kickstart off with a nice Sumo Good Morning for 3 to 5 reps, dynamic triangle for 3 to 5 a side, Sumo Squat for 3 to 5 at a 3-3-3, and a Kang Squat for 5 at a 2 to 3 round kind of rep range for this work set. Just going to give yourself a chance to kind of get our body going and feeling out how we're feeling. Our first work set, though, is 3 to 5 rounds, and this is the longer work set of the two, just because we have some single leg work to do. We have a foot assist pistol, 6 to 8 a side at 3 second negative. Rest 20 seconds. You have a back lunge plus high knee at 8 per side at a 3 second negative. And then we have a 10 or 20 second rest, finishing off with 8 to 12 dumbbell deadlifts with a 3 second negative on each rep. With the dumbbell deadlifts, you can do 2 hands, single dumbbell, whatever you have access to at home, you can make this yours and have some fun with it. 40-second rest to 60-second rest in between rounds, and then tackle that for your wanted volume for the day. Our second phase is a little bit more body weight focused, a little bit more gymnastics. We have 3 to 5 rounds. We're going to move into an arch hold of 10 to 30 seconds. Rest 20. Bridge pullback for 10 to 30 seconds. Rest 20. And then Deadbug for 6 to 10, alternating at a 1 to 2 second hold per side. Rest 40 seconds to 60 seconds in between those rounds, and then take that down. So again, like I mentioned earlier, the first piece is a little longer than the second one. So if you want to get a little bit more rounds in there for the second piece, tackle the 5-rounder, maybe settle in with 3 if you're a little bit more crunched for time, but make it yours, choose your adventure, and let's get you guys ready to go. All right, you guys, let's get you guys fired up. Let's warm up. Let's get those feet under the hips. We'll take the arms big and tall up overhead. We're going to stretch it over to one side, just opening up the body. Take it to the other side, and then we're going to come back to center, forward fold, touching those toes, locking up the shins. We'll come all the way down, framing the foot, step it back into our lizard. Inside hand is going to lock that front foot down. We're going to turn the torso. We'll come back to center, turn the torso, come back to center, and turn the torso, back to center. We're going to lower that back knee, press the hip to center, press the hip to center, and press the hip. Come back to center, we'll plant the hand, straighten the leg, step into that down dog, reaching those hips nice and high, setting those shoulders. We're going to come back into that plank, step the other foot up, planting that hand on the foot, locking the legs in place. We'll turn, we'll come back through, turn, back through, and turn, and back through. We'll lower the back knee, press the hip, come back to center, press the hip, back to center, and press the hip, and back to center. Plant the hand, straighten the leg, we'll step back into our down dog, setting those shoulders so they're nice and open, rolling around the body. We're going to come back into our plank, setting that core, shoulder, we'll tiptoe those feet up. We're going to roll ourselves all the way up, big stretch, big reach to one side, big reach to the other side. Come back down with those hands. We'll continue on. Let's take her down. So, if you like to do some more gentle kind of movement, maybe some rotation in that lizard lunge, pop back in there, take it down, cat-cow. We're going to start focusing on that lower body, getting those legs ready to go and those hips ready. So, rock some gentle warm-up if you'd like. Pause the video and then come back and join me. We're going to talk about what's coming up next. All right. We're going to kickstart off our day with a Sumo Good Morning. And really, the Sumo Good Morning is just a good morning position from our Sumo stance. So a little wider stance. I'm going to turn profile so you can see where my hips go. So remembering that the hinge, the pulling and drawing back of the hips, is what causes my body to hinge forward. We're trying to stay away from this bending over at the back position, the flexion of the spine. So what we want to do is we're going to lock everything in place. I'm nice and set through my ribs, my glutes are tight. I'm going to pull my hips back, softening my knees as I find that nice hinge, and come back tall. So as my hips go back, I try and keep my weight through my midfoot, my feet are flat, and that allows my chest to come forward towards the floor. I'm coming down to about a 45 or a 90 degree. I'm not really trying to go beyond that 90. We want to try and keep max tension on the hamstrings the entire time. So So really pay attention to that sensation through the glute and hamstring as you're initiating into that good morning. After those Sumo Good Mornings, we stay in our Sumo stance. I'm going to turn a toe and a toe on the angle. We're going to get ourselves set up for our good morning, our dynamic triangle. So we're going to press our arms super straight, keeping that arm active to the sky. If you're going to load this, you can, but keep it light. And then we're going to pull the hip back into that back heel so we get that nice little hinge or tip. And then we're going to trace down the shin as deep as you feel comfortable, and then we're going to take it back up. So we pull the hip back towards that back heel, nice hinge, and we just kind of roll it down that shin, keeping this arm up to the sky the entire time. So remember, that's a really good reason why we want to have this foot slightly open, because it's going to give us some range to get that hip flowing. If I go on a complete kind of straight position toe straight here, I'm not going to have as much room to get that hinge, and I'm going to feel a little jammed up in the hip joint. So that slight angle on that foot really helps get that nice range going. After our dynamic triangle, 3 per side, we're going to move into our Sumo Squat. So our Sumo Squat stays in that Sumo stance. Same squat mechanics, except again, we're going to focus on pushing those knees out as best we can to make sure that they stay tracking the toes. I'm going to squeeze my glutes. I'm going to get set through this good set midsection. I'm going to take the hips to the heels, keeping that nice upright body, keeping those knees tracking the toes, and that nice strong torso angle. And then we're going to stand, hips and shoulders rising together. So pushing those knees out, the hips find the heels, taking it down to the range you feel comfortable, and pushing up into that nice tall stand. From there, we're going to continue investigating some squats, and we're going to work on the Kang Squat. The Kang Squat's pretty tough. It's a weird kind of movement. We're joining the good morning with the air squat. So we're going to do these unloaded and empty-handed. So what we're going to do is get into our regular air squat. And we're going to find our good morning first. So we're going to pull our hips back into our good morning. And then we're going to pull our hips down, straight down into our squat position. From there, we are going to push the hips back into our good morning and then stand tall. So something to look out for in that returning back up is pushing those legs too straight. So as I pull back, my knees are soft, just like a normal good morning. As I pull myself into that squat, I find my depth. And then we have to make sure that as we push our hips back into our good morning, my knees stay soft and my back position is nice and strong. So it's a really good opportunity to pull those hips into those ankles and really wake those ankles up and work on your range of motion there. Challenging movement. Take it again to the range that you're comfortable. Your body will tell you where you need to stop, and just listen to it. Just take a moment, stop there, come back up. It'll get better over time. But I want you to keep this in mind. It's a slow, steady movement. We don't want to rush this. I don't have a tempo on there, but the tempo that I'm taking this at right now, so just kind of slowly pulling back, feeling that good morning, and then pulling into that nice squat, feeling that position, extending those hips, and then standing tall. Okay? So really taking the time to feel each position. As a quick recap for that first piece, we have a Sumo Good Morning, dynamic triangle for 3 per side, Sumo Squat 3 to 5 at a 3-3-3 tempo, so slowing it down, and then our Kang Squat, empty-handed Kang Squat for 5 reps. We have 2 to 3 rounds of that to get the body fired up, and then we're going to move into that next phase, which is going to kickstart with those lower bodies, again with that foot-assisted pistol. All right, our first work set today is going to be 3 to 5 rounds, foot-assisted pistol into the back lunge with high knee and a dumbbell deadlift. So our foot-assisted pistol for 6 per side is going to have a 3-second negative. So we have a few different ways we can play with this. Our first setup is going to be that toe in that kickstand position, pretty close to my foot and my heel. I'm nice and square in my hips. I set my ribs in my body position just like I would do a normal air squat. And then from there, I'm going to pull my hip to my heel, taking it down 3, 2, 1. And then from here, I'm just going to nice and drive through that leg and stand. This leg is here for help to get us through that sticking point or a little bit of balance, just to help get us out of the bottom. So now if I set that up again, we have another variation with that same with the foot down with a little bit of load. So if you'd like to do this with a little load, it's getting easier, my position's getting stronger, I get that dumbbell in the goblet position, I still pull down 3 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and then I get that good push. That's just gonna make that just a little bit more difficult with the external load. Or, I'm really getting pretty strong with this, with the tempo, with everything. I can take away that kickstand leg, and I can get that leg working with that toe and that foot on the back of the heel. So I still get the benefit of the engagement factor, but I'm not getting the balance out of it. So I get myself set up, my toe goes on the back, so I can press against it to keep everything square. I get that same movement, I take it down 3 seconds to my depth, and then I push through that leg and stand tall. So again, it doesn't really help in terms of getting me out of the bottom, but it does allow me to help maintain that square pelvis and keep everything kind of set and engaged. So 3 different variations of that. I want you to play with the variation that you're at, all right? So don't jump right to that last one if you're working still on range of motion. Focus on range of motion first. Once you have consistent range of motion with that foot assist, add a little bit of load to it, see how that feels, and then as you start to maintain that with a little bit of load, go to that foot taking away and working on that balance portion. So we have 6 to 8 reps per side at a 3-second negative. From there, we go into our 20-second rest, and then we're gonna work on a back lunge to high knee. And you can load this or not, it's up to you, but what we're gonna work on is that nice smooth back lunge. I'm gonna get myself set up, my heel, or my weight is gonna stay over top of this front foot and work into that 50-50 balance. So I'm gonna step back into that good, nice position. I can get my hands ready to go if I want for that working with kind of rotation. I stand, I come up into that high knee, and then I'm gonna come back down. Finding that good lunge, coming back up. I step back into my range, that hand comes up, I come up, and hold that position. So if I'd like to work on that, generating that rotational power, and using that opposite hand, opposite foot, I can do this unloaded and work on my hand and my footwork working together. If I'd like to load it, I can do one of 2 things. I can do a suitcase style, so I can work on my dumbbell staying to the side, and then I come through to a high knee. I can do a front rack style, which will gas you out a little bit more into a nice high knee, or I can work on a goblet style, and work on that same lunge to that high knee. Neither is better nor worse. It really just depends on what you want to work on. If you want to work a little bit of loading, awesome. If you want to work on that rotational work, that kind of nice, smooth, kind of opposite side, unilateral work, use the hands, use that timing and that coordination to start generating that little power and that drive through that single leg. You have 8 per side, and it's 3-second negative. So it's going to be 3 seconds down in the lunge, and then stand and step into that high knee at a normal pace for you that allows you to balance. Now, if you're not one for lunging, that's fine. You can work on this movement again in the back scale position. So I'm going to pick my favorite leg. I'm going to get set up, palms are forward, and I get my hinge, keeping my hips square, and then I'm going to come back up into that high knee. So working on that control, that square hip position, getting that good hinge, rising up into that high knee. We're not going to load the back scale variation, but we are going to work on really focusing on those square hips and square torso, so we're not rotating as we hinge. Now, after our back lunge to high knee, we're going to rest for 20 seconds. We're going to work on the dumbbell deadlift with an eccentric. So I have 2 dumbbells. You can do this, all right, with a single dumbbell. But what we're going to do is we're going to hold the dumbbells at the side of the body. Feet are going to be underneath the hips. I'm going to stand up nice and tall with a nice glute squeeze. I'm going to take 3 seconds down to my floor position. So it's going to be a back and down for 3, 2, 1, wherever that bottom position happens to be. And then I'm going to stand nice and smooth. 3, 2, 1, stand tall. 3, 2, 1, stand tall. So really working on that good good back position as your primary focus in terms of range of motion. Don't worry about touching the dumbbells to the floor. Now with 2 dumbbells or a single, all right, you can work on the conventional. If you'd like to work on a sumo with 1 dumbbell, you're more than welcome to. Still keep it to 8 to 12 reps total. Just split that rep in half with the hands and flip hands about halfway, depending on what rep range you're going to use. After our dumbbell deadlift, we're working at a 40-second to 60-second rest. Tackle that next round and have some fun with this one, you guys. It's going to be a lot of lower body, a lot of focus on that square, kind of torso and square hip position, keeping that pelvis nice and stable. As a quick recap, we have 3 to 5 rounds, foot assist pistol, 6 to 8 per side at a 3-second negative. Rest 20 seconds, back lunge to high knee, 8 per side, 3-second negative. 20-second rest, and then a dumbbell deadlift for 8 to 12 reps at a 3-second negative. 40 to 60-second rest in between rounds. Repeat. Tackle that down, pause the video, take your time, you guys. Remember, 3 to 5 rounds, whatever you want to do for volume, and we'll come join me for our next phase, which is a little bit more gymnastic style focus. Our last phase of work is going to be an arch hold, bridge pullback, and a dead bug. So 2 movements we've done quite a bit. We've done the bridge pullback a few times in warm-ups and practice, but today we're going to make it part of our work set. So our first exercise is our arch hold, something we've done quite a bit of. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves nice and long, toes together, arms out straight. I'm going to squeeze my toes, reach long and extended, and just hold this position. So my shoulders are away from my ears. I'm just holding and reaching long as I embrace that nice long extension. Now if 2 legs, 2 hands is too much for the body position, we can work on that unilateral work set. So I can lift up my right hand, left leg, reaching super long, keeping our focus on length, and then for half the time, and then I'll switch to the other side for half the time. So in our arch hold, we really want to focus on that lengthening of the body, not necessarily worry about how high we come. If we focus on our lift as we lengthen, that lift will kind of happen automatically. So we're really focusing on that extension, that length across the floor, and making space in those vertebrae as we try and make ourselves a little bit taller. After our arch hold of 10 to 30 seconds, we're going to do our bridge pullback. And this is a kind of a tough little movement because we're going to really tap into those hamstrings a bit. We have a range of 10 to 30 seconds, and I want you to keep this in mind that if you need to accumulate 10 to 30 seconds with this, please accumulate that time. Don't worry if you can't hold it for that length of time just yet, because it does take some time to build that awareness and that strength in the hamstring. And I prefer your hamstrings not to cramp up, so stop before that happens. I'm going to get myself on my back. We're going to get ourselves set up like a normal bridge. My hands are going to be just outside the shoulders, just outside my toes. I'm going to press into the floor just a little bit. From here, I'm going to squeeze, keeping those ribs into my bridge. So I set this position first. Now right now, the majority of my weight is through my midfoot. What I want to do is shift my weight to the balls of my feet. But you'll notice, in doing this, I'm just going to lower myself down and show you. In shifting the weight to my toes and my balls of the feet, I'm not pushing into my toes to lift my heel up. I'm just shifting the weight to the front. All right, you may feel some separation of the heel and the floor, but it's not an over-exaggerated lift. We're not trying to go on our tippy toes. So to set up again, hands down, press in so we get a little upper body engagement. Ribs in, I squeeze, I shift the weight to the balls of my feet, and then I pull those heels back towards my glutes. So I'm trying to pull those heels back towards my glutes and my hamstrings, and I'm going to feel my hamstrings kick on. That's what we're looking for. It's almost like you're doing like a hamstring curl, pulling that back. Your feet aren't going to move because they're attached to the floor and they're just going to pull. So we want to make sure that if we're wearing socks on a, say, slippery floor, we want to take those socks off or put some shoes on so we have some good grip on the ground. But we want to feel this back portion of the leg saying hello as we pull back with that foot. It's gonna get a little tough, but we're gonna try and build over time
to a 30-second hold all in one, but that might take a while. So take your time with that, give yourself bite-sized chunks in that engagement, in that isometric hold, so that we don't, again, cramp up our hamstrings, and we build the strength accordingly to where we are. Now, our last exercise is our dead bug. So something we've done quite a bit in the past.
So we're gonna come right out of that bridge position. So I just stay down here in this position. I'm gonna pull my ribs and hips kind of in, so I create that little connection with the floor. I'm gonna lift my feet up off the ground so my legs are at a 90 degree, still maintaining that nice tight connection to the ground. My hands are gonna come up into my kind of upside down table. And then I'm gonna keep that low back in and extend my right arm, left leg as straight as I can, or as far as I can, hold for a couple seconds, come back in. Extend the other side, taking my time, come back in. And then alternate back and forth for 6 to 10 reps with about a 1 to 2 second beat at each end range position and in the table again. It's really important that we want to try and separate and isolate the sides of the body so we don't just end up kind of moving back and forth. So take a little moment in between each rep so we can focus on what we have to do, so our brain can kind of work with our body and kind of coordinate what's about to happen. The whole time we're doing those dead bugs, the low back is in contact with the floor, and if you feel that low back starting to lose contact, you want to stop that range of that extension with the leg and come back in nice and steady. So just finding your range is very important in this exercise. As a quick recap, again for our last little piece of our work, we have a 3 to 5 round work set. Arch hold, 10 to 30 second hold, either 2 feet or a single. Rest, 20 seconds. Bridge pull back, 10 to 30 seconds, or accumulating that time. Rest 20 seconds, and then dead bug 6 to 10, alternating 1 to 2 second holds. Rest 40 seconds, take that down, rock it, have some fun with it, and see where it takes you. This piece is not going to take you as long as the first piece does. The first piece will take a little bit longer, so just keep that in mind when you're kind of judging and how much time you have to work out today. As always, everyone, I hope you enjoy this strength work. It's a great way to kickstart off the week, gets things fired up. You can play around with different loading for the deadlift. You can add in some load for the pistol, whatever you want to do for this. So please work for quality, enjoy, and let me know how it goes, you guys. I always enjoy hearing about how these home workouts go, so let me know. And if you need anything at all, never hesitate, shout out. I'm always there to give you some feedback if you want to send me a video or if you have a question. Until tomorrow, have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.